Hi everyone, this is Selena Kraus and welcome to another card video. In this video I will show you how to make a couple cards using the June My Monthly Hero kit from Hero Arts, and the theme of this My Monthly Hero kit is Beach. So here is just a quick peek of the cards that we'll make today. This set includes few color layering images. One of them is the ocean. So let's get started. I'm using my MISTI tool to stamp all the images and sentiments. So I'm starting first with a piece of white cardstock. I'm positioning in my MISTI. I'm lining up to that line on the grid paper where it's like the logo. Because it's a wider stamp, I could use a creative corner, but I didn't have it handy, so I just lined it. I used my grid paper to line up my image. So if I put it in the corner, then the edge would not stamp properly, so that's why I'm putting it here in the middle. And even though my stamp is purple, I've stamped a bunch of images that I will show you in a couple minutes. It won't stain because it's already clean. I'm using soft pull ink to stamp the first layer of that ocean. So here I decided to switch to my bar magnet to hold that paper a little bit better. So I'm just making sure that it's positioned correctly. So I'll just quickly dry this with my heat tool. And I realized that there are some white spots. I used my very old soft pull ink, so I'm like switching to the newer one, which is a little bit juicier. I'm using a lot of soft pull ink, so especially for different techniques. So my ink pads I tend to use a lot of especially the soft pull. So let's go to the second layer here. I'm positioning the second layer, and this stamp set is very easy to layer. The 3 layers, it's a breeze. Layering is a breeze. So next I'm using the tight pull ink, and I'm stamping that layer a couple times here. And next I'm stamping the second layer onto a pull layering cardstock. So for this one I didn't stamp the first layer because my cardstock is already colored, so I'm just gonna stamp the second and the third layer. So I just wanted to show you that you can use all 3 layers, or if you use colored cardstock, you can use only 2 layers or even just 1. So I'm just quickly drying the ink. So when I stamp the last layer, the ink won't kind of bleed into each other. So I'll have a crisp image. Again, I'm positioning, lining up my cardstock onto that line there where it's the My Sweet Petunia logo. And I'm positioning the last layer, and I'm using the Antigua. So I first stamp on the grid paper to make sure that it's not stained. I remember that I did clean my stamp, but I just wanted to make sure before I went to stamp onto my paper. So I'm just doing a couple times to have nice and bold coverage. Just wanted a little bit darker color, and I apologize here for the light. The sun was shining right behind me through the blinds, and there's like just no way to get in the way of the sun so I don't get that very light spot. So here are a bunch of that I stamped, and some of them, the second layer I stamped with white craft ink. So here I'm just trying to decide which one I wanted to use. I decided to use the darker pool background with the beach frame fancy die here. So I'm masking off the bottom, and I'm applying here. The mask is created using that 3rd layer stamp. So I just applied Versamark directly, and I'm using the sand embossing powder from the kit. I'm just heat setting it. Really, this embossing powder, it's like, it just gives such a realistic look of that sand. So I'm just trying to see where I want the frame to go, how the image I want to look. So I'm positioning here the clouds, and I'm using only the second step for the clouds. Again, I'm putting it back in my MISTI, and I thought that I wanted to stamp with the white dye ink, but it didn't really show on this full cardstock because it's lighter color. Then I stamped with the Unicorn Craft ink and embossing with white embossing powder. So I'm quickly heat setting this. Here's the frame. Next I'm applying some glue onto the frame directly and smearing with my finger to spread it, and I'm applying that embossing powder directly. So in this one I won't heat set it, I'll leave it as it is. That's why I use the glue, to get a little bit more texture. And it looks like real sand. Next I'm stamping the sentiment from the kit. Enjoy the Beach Life, I think. And I stamp it a couple of times with Versamark and embossing it with white embossing powder. So I'm just quickly heat setting that. I'm just using Swiffer cloth to remove all the extra anti-static powder that I used when I did the embossing. Next I'm using some mounting tape to adhere everything together. So I'm just adding everywhere to make sure that it will be nice and secure. So I'm just adding little pieces to the more intricate parts of the die cut. Removing everything, and I'll adhere on top of my ocean panel. So there we have that, and next I'll just adhere the sentiment. And I'll adhere the whole panel onto full folded note card. So next, for my second card, I decided to use one of the purple ones to create some kind of sunset design. So I have here die cut masking, well, post-it notes with the circle dies, and I'm kind of doing ink blending for the sun. I'm using butter bar and soft yellow. Shadow inks, removing the mask, adding the negative the positive. So here I didn't want to glue. Here I did make a mistake. The post-it didn't want to stick to the sun because the ink was still wet. So I put some positionable glue, which you will see at in a minute, that it will, when I remove it, it will remove parts of my paper, which will kind of destroy my panel. So I'm just doing quickly ink blending. I'm using bubblegum, Orchid, and grape juice. So here I remove that post-it label and then put it back because I'm adding some sprinkles with white iridescent spray. So here I'm removing that and kind of rip the paper. So you can see here, and then by magic of YouTube I made another panel, but instead of bubblegum I decided to use the bold ink rose madder. And then I'm using a black permanent marker. Here I'm using Copic, but you can use any Sharpie or any other just plain black marker to color that the bottom. Or you can just mask it off and do some ink blending using black ink. So I'm over stamping here over the last layer of the ocean, and I'm embossing with sparkle embossing powder. I just wanted to add a little bit sparkle to my background. Next I'm stamping the dolphin. Using some black ink, I'll stamp it a couple times so it's nice and wet, and I can emboss it with ultrafine embossing powder. Just removing the excess that was left behind on the sun. I'll just heat set it here. And let's see how it looks on my background. So I'm using here black mounting tape because my background is black, so I didn't want the white to stand out a lot when you see the card from the side. So I'm using black to blend with the background. I'm just adding little dots of adhesive, like mounting dots on more intricate parts. Just adhere everything together, and I already stamped and embossed a sentiment, greetings from my happy place. I think it's one of my favorite greetings from this set. And next I'm tearing the panel to a black folded note card, and last I'll add that sentiment. So with that, both of my cards are done. Here's again little bit closer look of the first card and the second card. So thanks for stopping by today. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well my blog, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye!